The Indiana Fever and Stephanie Bonehead White are the only team that don't help on defense. You don't leave your guards on an island by themselves. You don't allow teams to go one-on-one versus Courtney Williams over and over and over and over. You don't allow bigs to get switched on to Courtney Williams.
There is so much to get into today because there are a lot of things swirling around this Indiana Fever team and their current situation. Right now, Cheryl Reeve is exposing, and I mean flat-out exposing, Stephanie White once again. This whole situation is looking pretty bad. We recently had a report circulating that Stephanie White was fired behind the scenes. We have a massive amount of stuff we need to get into today. But the bottom line is that Stephanie White is looking really, really bad in this situation with Caitlin Clark. I honestly do not know how much longer the two of them will be able to coexist in the same organization. We absolutely have to get into the weeds on this. Welcome to Keep the Vision. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the channel, hit that bell notification, and hype the video. That would be greatly appreciated. Now, let us get right into things. Cheryl Reeve has been putting on an absolute clinic. I repeat, an absolute clinic when it comes to handling a young superstar talent at the point guard position. Everything she has been doing with Olivia Miles is a masterclass in coaching and development. It is the total opposite of what you are getting right now from Stephanie White and the Indiana Fever. I truly believe Cheryl Reeve has been putting on an absolute clinic and completely exposing Stephanie White in the process. Now, we have everybody going off online and in the media about Caitlin Clark and her defense, and this and that. But the fact of the matter is, if you take a close look at how other successful teams operate, you see a glaring difference. Cheryl Reeve does not leave her guard on an island. If you watch the tape, you see players like Courtney Williams keeping her back to the baseline in the gap, making sure the opposing player cannot simply drive to the basket unopposed. On a ball reversal, you see Olivia Miles doubling. You see players splitting the passing lane while Courtney scrambles to the corner and Olivia comes up to apply pressure. The main point of this whole breakdown is that Stephanie White wants to switch 1 through 5 on defense. That strategy is absolutely asinine when you do not have a bunch of like-sized players on the floor. Because of this flawed system, you are getting 5'9" guards switched onto 6'6" centers. You are getting your franchise center, Aaliyah Boston, stuck defending 5'8" point guards all the way out at the three-point line. It is just ridiculous. It makes no sense from a basketball standpoint. Meanwhile, Cheryl Reeve is showing everyone exactly how it is supposed to be done. Let us pay attention to how her system works. When you watch Olivia Miles at the bottom of the screen, you see exactly what proper defensive awareness looks like. When an opposing player like Angel Reese comes on a little cross screen near the free throw line so that she can get down to the block, the defense reacts intelligently. Courtney Williams is the one we should pay attention to in this scenario. She has her back to the baseline, and she is fully prepared to help. She steps up, she bumps Angel Reese, and she gives Natasha Howard just enough time to fight through the screen and meet Reese at the catch point. They are not going to just lazily switch. They are absolutely not going to switch and leave a small guard isolated on a dominant post player. She gets in her way, Natasha Howard gets back through, and the defense remains solid. You see how Olivia Miles stays right there, just one pass away. She is in help position. She is helping her teammate, seeing the ball and seeing her man while staying in help. Everybody on that team is in help defense. You see Olivia Miles actively sliding over to provide assistance. The Indiana Fever and their bonehead coach, Stephanie White, are the only team in the entire league that do not help on defense. When there is a screen, you should have two people ready to address the ball. You should have players like Olivia Miles rotating and helping. The help defense is beautiful to watch. A player can come all the way from the corner to the top of the key to help, while another player rotates out to cover the empty corner. That is exactly how you play team defense. That is how you help your teammates succeed. You simply do not leave your young guards on an island all by themselves to get cooked. You do not allow opposing teams to go one-on-one against a player over and over and over again without sending help. You do not allow massive bigs to easily get switched onto your smaller perimeter defenders. You do not allow teams to just isolate and attack your point guard mercilessly. You play fundamental help defense. You force the ball handler to pick up their dribble. You rotate, you scramble, and you force the offense to make a mistake. These examples are just another way that Stephanie White is being absolutely exposed, flat out exposed by the coaching brilliance of Cheryl Reeve. Now, we have to get to what legends Cheryl Miller and Sue Bird had to say about this ongoing Caitlin Clark situation and what is currently happening in Indianapolis. They pointed out that there is visible frustration, and unfortunately, it is boiling over, and it is being seen by everyone. It is one thing to have disagreements and friction behind closed doors in the locker room or during a private practice, but it is an entirely different issue when it spills over onto the court during a game. When the coach has to basically look at her star player and say that enough is enough, that the behavior is too disruptive, and pulls her in and out of the game or tells her to take a seat, it becomes a public spectacle. Sue Bird mentioned that she is not the best lip reader, but she felt like Stephanie White was demanding defense multiple times during these heated interactions. Bird noted that player-coach tension is not that crazy, and it is not the first time we have seen this dynamic. It does not always have to have some deeper, mysterious meaning to it. Bird admitted she has had similar intense moments with coaches throughout her career. It really speaks to the nature of player-coach relationships. Bird gave a shout-out to Brian Agler, saying you could say absolutely anything to that man in the heat of the moment, and you could just keep it moving without it ruining the working relationship. Then she noted she had other coaches where maybe you could not do that, and you have to learn each other's boundaries in that specific way. But the key is that you always knew where the line was. You knew the line where passion becomes disruptive to the team. And that is exactly when things took a turn for the Fever. That is when veteran Kelsey Mitchell kind of chimed in during a timeout and basically told Caitlin Clark that she needed to go stand over away from the group and just let everyone regain calm in the huddle. When it gets to the point where it becomes that disruptive to the entire team, somebody has to step in and mediate. But as far as I am concerned regarding that specific huddle incident, Kelsey Mitchell can go too. I am completely done with her as well. If she wants to step in like that and add to the dysfunction, she can find another team. The real question that needs to be answered is, who is the actual person that needs to step in and fix this entire mess? I think the person who truly needs to step in is Mr. Herb Simon, the owner of the franchise. He has to step up and make a massive, franchise-altering decision. Does he want to keep Caitlin Clark, a generational talent and the face of the league? Or does he want to keep Stephanie White, a coach who is clearly struggling to maximize this roster? I think that is exactly what this whole situation comes down to. To be completely honest with you, I firmly believe that the Indiana Fever need to move on from Stephanie White. The Indiana Fever desperately need to pick a direction and pick a lane. Right now, the organization is just swerving back and forth, completely aimless. I think that, at this point, it would be best served to all parties involved to just pick a lane and commit to it. These two individuals, Stephanie White and Caitlin Clark, cannot coexist. They simply do not see the game of basketball from the same lens. Their philosophies are entirely mismatched. At this point, Herb Simon, or his son, or whoever's actually running the show over there, needs to step in, pick a direction, pick a lane, and decisively end this situation because this current dynamic is over. It has completely come to a head, and there is no going back to normal. Now, sports commentator Skip Bayless went online and put out a post that got a whole lot of traction across social media. His post stated that it was no surprise that Stephanie White was reportedly out after repeated in-game clashes with Caitlin Clark. Bayless wrote that he was not saying White was necessarily wrong in her coaching demands, but you simply cannot consistently show up the face of the league on camera for the whole world to see. He also mentioned that Caitlin obviously wants a favorite coach of hers from her Iowa days, Jan Jensen, to take over, but added that there is no way Jensen can coach both college and pro. Shortly after that blew up, it came out that Skip Bayless had gotten tricked. Skip, you have been in the sports media game way too long to be falling for this kind of stuff. He got tricked by a fake post online from an unverified source. After realizing the mistake, Bayless followed back up and said that now they are saying the reports about Stephanie White being fired are erroneous. However, his underlying point remained exactly the same. She will not last much longer clashing during games with Caitlin Clark, even if her core issues with Caitlin's defensive effort are mostly valid. Now, this is a take that I wholeheartedly agree with. I agree with his post completely. I really do not think Stephanie White will last very much longer in Indianapolis. Or, on the flip side, maybe Caitlin Clark will actually be the one to go. Maybe that is just where we are at with this toxic situation. Maybe Caitlin Clark will be the one to demand to be moved. Either way, I am totally at the point where I am absolutely done with the Indiana Fever organization as a whole. I honestly just want Caitlin Clark to get traded. Let us just move on from this massive disappointment. I do not want anything to do with this scammy organization anymore. They completely fumbled this incredible opportunity. It has been incredibly embarrassing watching how this whole thing has gone down. The roster that General Manager Amber Cox has assembled is absolute hot garbage. I mean, it is just terrible all across the board. The blame does not even stop at Stephanie White. Yes, White is the one at the helm, making the questionable decisions on the floor and mismanaging the situation with Caitlin Clark. But in terms of front office leadership, Amber Cox being a GM has been absolutely horrible. Executive Kelly Krauskopf has also been terrible. The entire management structure is failing. Everybody in that front office just has to go. They need to clean house entirely. I am just hoping that Caitlin Clark can get away from these people as soon as humanly possible so she can actually thrive in a functional environment that supports her unique generational talents and understands basic defensive schemes. The current situation is unfair to her potential, and it is unfair to the fans who want to see good basketball. The lack of help defense, the terrible switching schemes, the visible sideline arguments, the front office incompetence, and the roster construction are all massive failures. Get down in the comments and let me know what you think about this absolute mess. Thanks for watching, and must subscribe to WNBA for such amazing updates.